Hello and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher and I'm super happy to be here with you today. It's been a long week and the issue of mistakes has come up repeatedly in my life. And for those times I tend to turn to Zentangle and there's just ways we have of dealing with, I wouldn't call them mistakes, but sometimes something happens and you could get a line that goes in a direction you didn't quite want it to, or you could have a spill on your tile, or just an area you want to cover up. So I thought, in keeping with my trend this week in my life, dealing with mistakes, that we would take a look at how to deal with them in Zentangle. And basically, we embrace them. And we're going to do that by taking a look at Bronx Cheer. There's several ways to deal with these issues, but Bronx Cheer is a favorite. And there's also a Bronx Spear, but we're going to focus on Cheer this day. And so for today, I'm going to use a tan, a Renaissance tile. You could use white if you want to. And to go with this color, I'm using a brown pen. And I also have, instead of a number 2 pencil, I have a chalk pastel or a pastel chalk in Sanguine. So it's kind of a reddish brown color. And I have a tortillon just for this pencil. Um, if you're working on a white tile, of course, feel free to use a black ink pen and a number 2 pencil and a tortillon for that graphite. And I also, for this color, I do have, in case I want to add some highlights, I do have a white chalk pencil and a tortillon just for the white. I also do have one of these stone pencils that's kind of in an off-white, but I feel like the brightness of the white chalk pencil works much better. So if you have one of those and you'd like to add highlights to the tan tile or even a black tile, this works great. All right, so we are going to start off. We're just going to start with our ink pen. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to start off with a very large printout, and then we're going to put our Bronx Cheer in over that. So in our center, or roughly in the center, kind of going to make like a cursive C. And we're going to aura out from that, but in a very large way. So we're making a single large rita. And then when you feel it's right, you can kind of end it with another prita on the end. And let's say you put this on your tile or on your paper, and you think, I don't really, I'm not too fond of the center here, but it's already on there in ink. So how can we deal with that? Well, let's put in a Bronx Cheer. And to me, the Bronx Cheer kind of reminds me of a berry, like a raspberry, but kind of round. So we're going to start with this area because it's nicely round, and we're just going to kind of darken that in. And then we're going to add more of these and keep going outwards until we're happy with covering that area. So I'm going to put in another one. They're like tipple. And then I kind of ink it in. Another way you can do this, instead of inking in every single little orb as you go, you can place your orbs and then go back in and ink them in. So whichever whichever way appeals to you. Is the way you should go. You should just follow your heart and go with the flow. I tend to go back and forth between the two methods. Um, and I'm leaving a little bit of the center not inked in, just adds a little bit of kind of like a shine to it if this were like a berry. So I'm filling them in, kind of picturing a round shape in this area. And we'll see what I get, because often when I do Bronx Cheer, I kind of end up with more of a raspberry type shape. For some reason, I tend not to get a round Bronx Cheer, and I don't know why that is. It's just me, I guess. But we all have our own style, and just learn to brace the uniqueness of you. They all turn out beautiful anyway. So some of your little orbs are going to be larger and some are going to be smaller. And I'm just kind of working my way around. Not in any particular order, but trying to get that round shape. So you can see how we've already lost that center that we put in there. It's kind of disappeared in our Bronx Cheer. And your Bronx Cheer might be larger or smaller than mine, since it's kind of a random thing. There's no set size that we're aiming for. I guess size is kind of dictated by what it is you are trying to cover up. So it's sort of round. I'm going to try to fill it in a little better here. If you have a larger area to cover up, you might want to go with the Bronx Spear. And instead of being roundish, it's more of a spear shape. And again, it's very organic and it kind of flows in the direction of what you're trying to make disappear. All right. So how's that for our kind of raspberry, kind of round shape for our Bronx Cheer? Once you have it roughly the size that you'd like, I could fill in a couple more here. We are going to put in like a stem type of shape. So you can choose to have your stem go in this corner or down here or down here. I would avoid this one because we have this nice little swirl here. So I think I'm just going to have it go up into this corner here. So I'll make a curve. And then I'm going to kind of aura that curve and make it a little longer. And then I'm going to connect the two ends like that. And then I'm just going to fill in my stem with more lines or auras. And you can make it as dark or as light as you'd like. Again, it kind of depends on what you're trying to cover up or hide. So there's our Bronx Cheer. And now what do we do with this area? Well, I'm going to take inspiration from the Zentangle primer and kind of fill this in with waves and an aura. Well, auras. So starting on this end here, we are just going to put in a wavy line. So you want to put in some nice curves. And we're just working between the two outer lines. When we come to the stem, we're going to lift our pen up and go over to the other side and just keep going. If you need to rotate your tile, please go ahead and do so. Now we're coming more to the inner curve here. And again, you're going to keep going around. And so now I'm kind of picturing those lines that we made disappear. And I'm kind of still working my way around like that. All right, awesome. So now we're going to add some auras into these curved areas. And I'm going to work on the inside first. And we're just going to aura that. So we have this nice curve here. And I'm just going to put in an aura like that. And I'm going to do that as many times as I need to until there's no space. Then I'm going to move to the next one. These kind of remind me of petals a little bit. I'm just putting in auras. Until there's no more space. It goes pretty quickly. And you can do this technique with other shapes as well. So you can experiment with that. This will be fun when we go to shade. And for this, I definitely need to rotate my tile as I go. Taking my time, just enjoying the process. Focusing on each individual stroke. And here I'm going to have to, when I meet the stem, lift my pen up and jump across and keep going for several of these auras. So we did the inner little petals, and then we're going to work with these outer ones here. And it's the same way, but it's the reverse. So we've got a curve here, and we are just following that. And then we move to the next one, and we have this curve here, and we're just doing an aura of that curve, a little hill. And rotating our tile, and we just keep going. So we've got this kind of wave here, undulating all the way around. Kind of a lovely ribbon or ripple effect. And again, here we have the stem. So we're going to start and then lift up our pen and jump over to the other side, fly over to the other side, and then keep going. It gets easier with practice. Now we're moving into the inside, and we just keep going the same way. Just focus on each little hill here. Rotate. And this one we kind of have to guess a little bit because we're running into our Bronx Cheer. All right, so we've got that all filled in. It's kind of cool. I love the way that goes back and forth like that. So at this point, I'm going to put the cap on my pen and set that aside for a little bit. And we can decide, especially if you're working on a tan tile, how you'd like to use the shading. Do you want to do everything in the sanguine, or do you want to add a little of the highlights with the white? So I think I'm going to shade this area with the auras with the sanguine, and then I'm going to come in with the white chalk pencil around the Bronx Cheer. There's many different ways that you can shade this. You could even use a number 2 pencil if you'd like. But I think I'll get started with the sanguine. All right. So again, I'm going to start on these inner hills, or these inner petals, and where the hill is going up and we have the lines coming off of it, I'm just adding a little bit of the chalk. Or if you're using a pencil, you would add your graphite there. I'm gonna rotate a little bit and then add some of that chalk to that one. And I'm just gonna keep working my way around. And with the pastel chalk pencils, you kind of have to experiment with pressure. And just like with a number 2 pencil, I would say you can always go back and add more. But if you start off with too much pressure and it's too dark, it's a little more difficult to deal with. So I personally am pressing a little harder with this chalk pencil than I would with a number 2 pencil. And we have just a little bit of an area there. All right, I think I got all of those. And then for the outer hills, again, I put the chalk pencil where where the lines are coming off of that original line. But again, there's different ways that you could shade this one. So if you try it a different way, I'd love to hear how you did it. And I think this is our last one. There. I also would like to add a little bit of the chalk pencil along the line of the original line of the preta, the large preta that we did. And I'm not pressing as much for this. I'm going in a little bit lighter. And all the way to the outside edge. All right. And then I'm going to take my tortillon, which I have a tortillon that I use just for these tan tiles with the Sanguine chalk pencil and the brown ink. I don't like to mix colors accidentally, so I've labeled this one with a B for brown. The tortillon I use for the number 2 pencils doesn't have any labeling, and the one that I use for the white chalk pencil has a WH for white. All right, so we are just going to, again, I think I'll start just like we did before, like on these inner hills. I'm just rubbing the tortillon back and forth a little bit. If you are using one of these Renaissance tiles, the tan color, you will notice that this paper grabs the chalk pencil a little differently from how the white paper acts. And the black paper is a little different too. So it can take a little practice with these. You want to kind of leave a little bit more in these corners, um, just for depth. Work my way around. Okay, and then we'll work on the outside. Remember to rotate as you go so you can see all sides of it, and it's also more comfortable that way. Yeah, I think we're all the way around. And then we definitely want to go along the edge of our gratin. All righty. So that looks pretty cool like that. Um, we have to make a choice now. So I'm going to set the tortilla aside for a little bit. So you can either add shading around the Bronx Cheer and the stem with the Sanguine and just go in much darker, or you can take a white chalk pencil and go around it. Um, so I think I will try it with the white chalk pencil and see how it works. Um, so I'm just going to take the white, kind of go, I'm starting along the stem here. So you can kind of see how that would look. For the stem. Oops, I'm losing my tools. And then I'm going to actually go around the Bronx Cheer with the white. And like I said, you could have gone around it with your either your number 2 pencil or your Sanguine chalk pencil. But I'm just trying the white just to see, how it looks. And then I'm going to take my tortillon for white, which I've marked with a WH. And I'm just going to start blending that out. I'm starting with the stem because that's definitely a white area. And then I'm going to work down into here, and I'm totally expecting with this to pick up a little of the Sanguine on this tortillon, and that's okay because I have I have lots of them, so this might not be for white anymore, but just kind of working that in there like that. All right. So that is Bronx Cheer. And then we took a special look at auras and shading. So this is for week 34. And if you are, before we fill out the back, I just want to go through shading with, if you're working with the regular materials. So I pre-did this one. That's true. But I'm going to go through it with you with the shading with a pencil. And so we're going to do the same thing. And then we'll go on the outside and get these. With the pencil, with the number 2 pencil, I'm not actually adding a lot of graphite, just a little bit. And I don't have to press very hard because it goes on very smoothly. All right, and then we are going to go along the edge of the gratin. All right, I'm looking at this before I shade. I think I'd like to go back in and make my stem a little bit wider. And because this is Bronx Cheer, you can go ahead and go in and go right over other areas and really kind of make that pop, right? All right. So then, because we are only using graphite on this one, I am going to just go ahead and go in pretty dark, press around the Bronx Cheer. And also go around my stem. But you want to press really hard around the Bronx Cheer. You want that very dark. All right. And then we can take our tortillon for graphite and we can work on that. And again, I'm going to be consistent and do these inner ones. And then I'm going to do these outer ones. And I'm just kind of alternating between back and forth and kind of doing these round little motions here. Shading, this one actually goes pretty quickly. All right, and then we want to quickly go around the original print ink line. And we're back at the beginning or the end, depending on how you look at it. And then all we have left to deal with is the Bronx Cheer. So I'm going to start with the stem like I did with the other one. And then I'm going to go around the actual Bronx Cheer. And you can see how dark it is and how it covers up an area. I actually don't use Bronx Cheer or Spear too much. I prefer the other workarounds, but every once in a while, this comes in handy. All right, so we have one done in original colors, and then we have one done on the tan, the Renaissance. You can let me know which you like best. We do need to put our initials on our works. So let's see, how could I work this in? I'm going to put it, I could have an N here and an H there for that one. And then for this one, I'll take a different route and I'm just going to put it in the my initials in the corner. So you can do however you like. So we've got the two side by side. For this particular project, I actually am very fond of this one, um, but this works really well too. And it's just a matter of personal preference. So I'm going to flip this over and fill in my name. And this is our weekly tangle. It's number 34. It's August 25, 24. It's August 25 for me. And this is Bronx Cheer. So again, I just love that sweet little berry look. And I also love working with these wavy lines and the auras and looking at that depth. If you want to, you could add a little bit of white in there for an extra shine. But it's not necessary, but it's totally up to you. And for those that worked with original materials, again, that's very dramatic. You're not going to see whatever it was that was underneath there. Other than that, I would just say embrace your mistakes or what you think are mistakes, because sometimes mistakes turn out to be awesome opportunities actually. So it just depends on how you look at it, what your perspective is. But give this a try and let me know what you think. And I will see you next week I hope you have a wonderful week at work, and I'll see you again. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.